Now, let's return to federal politics as we do every Mondays. We wrap up the program with our regular panel, the member for Bennelong, Labor MP Jerome Laxale and Chief Opposition Whip Aaron Violi. Aaron, it's been a difficult week or two for the coalition. Are you sure now Susan Lee's the right person to lead the coalition to the next election?
Well, Susan's absolutely the right person to lead the coalition to the next election. She got the support of the party room when we had our vote 6 months ago, and she's gone through a methodical process, which she said she would commit to at the start, that we would work together to look at our policies, and we've landed our energy policy, focused so importantly on making sure that energy and electricity is reliable for the Australian people, and we'll continue to work through engaging all colleagues to make sure we put forward policies in the best interest of the Australian people.
The government's looking at a range of issues, Jerome, specifically on problems, or the clunky elements of this transition that the government's passionate about, believes they're on the right path with. But things like, if we zero in on Tomago, that smelter in the Hunter, looking at direct contracts, say with Snowy Hydro and things like that, you need to really start to find ways to ensure that energy transition is smoother both for households and industry. Otherwise, it remains a vulnerability for the government going forward, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And I guess the biggest difference between our approach and that of the Liberals is that we're committed to take these challenges head on rather than just throwing our hands in the air and giving up, right? Let's not forget, the Liberals were told 24 out of 28 coal-fired power stations were going to close under their watch, and they did nothing about it. We are taking a different approach, and there will be challenges. I mean, if we look at Tomago as an example, they themselves said that it was because of the lack of renewable energy in the system that has led to the decision that they made, or the announcement they made recently. We're working very closely with them, but also right across the country, to get more of the cheapest form of power into the system. And I just need to frame it this way, Kieran, we need more power into the system, right? So our existing power is aging. Coal-fired power plants are one of the primary reasons why electricity prices have been so high. And we listen to the evidence. The cheapest form of new power into the system as we rebuild our grid is renewables backed by storage and gas. That is undisputed, unless you're a Liberal or a National and have just decided to, totally break up bipartisanship on this and give up.
Let's hear from Aaron on that, because Aaron, in terms of the approach, if there is enough gas, and I think that's still an if, there needs to be more to help drive down that price, because unfortunately, while the government might make the argument in relation to renewables, gas often sets the price.
When there's a really simple question that Jerome and Labor will not be able to answer, and they keep trotting out the line that renewables is the cheapest. Well, if renewables are absolutely the cheapest, why is the capacity investment scheme only for renewables? Open it up to all technologies, take a technology neutral approach, let the market determine what the cheapest is instead of picking a winner. Now, they'll refuse to answer that question. They refuse to do. They continue down the path of one technology being renewables. We need energy abundance, data centres, AI. The demand is going to increase. All technologies should be on the table, including nuclear, the only zero emissions baseload power that exists that can be rolled out at scale. And this government refuses to talk about it or remove the moratorium. They are not focused on the Australian people. They are pushing their policy that continues to fail and is driving prices up. Never forget, Kieran, they promised us on 97 times they would reduce power bills by $275. Under this government, they are up over $1,300, and it can continue to go up next year.
Jerome, why doesn't the government open that capacity investment scheme to other sources of energy?
Well, a couple of reasons just off the top of my head. One, as I've said, renewables are the cheapest form of new energy. Two, Kieran, we also need to reduce emissions, right? We've just seen a mini revolt after policies were changed 2 or 3 times over the weekend with the Liberals underwriting coal as part of their design for the capacity investment scheme. There's also a climate crisis. We also need to reduce emissions. So we want to ensure that investment in the energy grid not only reduces emissions, but is also the cheapest form of new energy. So what's good for the environment also happens to stack up economically, and that's why the capacity investment scheme is designed in that way. I'm happy to answer that question. It's pretty obvious if you follow the science and listen to the experts.
But you haven't. You've picked a winner, and you might want to. Well, clearly,
renewables are the winner, mate. Like, they're the cheapest, and they're also low emissions. They're great.
Jerome, your government is literally refusing to have other technologies in that system. You've picked the winner. You might want to talk to your friend Dan Ripicoli, the member for Hunter. He said in Parliament 2 weeks ago that he was happy to back any technology, including coal, if it stood up financially. So that should be the approach. I commend Big Dan for taking a focus on price like the Coalition. That should be the number one priority for all governments, because 40% increase, $1,300 under this government. People in my community and all across the country cannot put food on the table. Their power bills are going up. This government continues to fail them, and they're not listening, and they're not prepared to acknowledge their failures or change. And that is why we're going to call them out. We need to reduce emissions sustainably, but we need to have a focus on price, because it has gone out of control under this government. Every Australian knows it, and they know it every time they open the power bill, and it's going to get worse, and they have nothing but a slogan and spin that's not going to deliver for the Australian people.
Jerome, just 30 seconds left. Your thoughts before we go.
Oh, I mean, look, we've listened to experts here. Even the power companies come out and said they're committed to net zero by 2050. They know renewables are the way to bring down power prices over the long term, and that's what we're going to stick to. We're not going to take any advice on the energy grid from those who failed over and over and over to do anything about it, that being the Liberals.
Aaron and Jerome, we will see you in person next week. I look forward to having you both in the Parliament, in the studio. Appreciate it. We'll see you next week for the final sitting week of the year.